North Island, Pala River.
Madam Speaker, as the NDP critic for Veterans Affairs, I'm honoured to work with many veterans who have served our country so bravely and endure so many challenges once they enter civilianship. I want to acknowledge that as we walk into the week of remembering veterans, I have stood by many graves, both in our country and in other countries, and I've read so many of those names. And those are the people who gave the ultimate sacrifice. And what is one of the most painful moments is when you see those that were not named, and you know that there is a family that still doesn't know where their loved one is. So today in this place, we hold their memory up in remembrance. Veterans tell me recognition of the sacrifices and of the sacrifices of their family members mean so much to them. So it is my honor today to stand in this place and recognize the Canadians who serve in the military, past, present, and future, to remember those who lost their lives in the line of duty, and to show respect to those who continue to serve in war, in peace, in protection of our rights and freedoms. The cost of war is high, and there is far too much conflict in our world right now. We continue to send Canadians into danger, be it on peacekeeping missions, international violence, or helping at home, fighting forest fires and pandemics. It is how we support the military members when they return home after their service that confirms our act of remembrance, our promise to take care of them. And this is so important. Canada must stop failing to uphold this promise. Commemoration of military service is not only about building monuments or holding ceremonies on remembrance days. It includes those things, but it also means so much more to veterans. Yet many Canadian veterans do not feel well supported. Indigenous veterans who bravely fought for Canada in the 20th century were stripped of their status when they returned home, facing poverty, unable to go home to their communities, and racist attitudes. They were really dismissed, even though they provided the greatest service to Canada. Today, Canadian Indigenous veterans continue to work towards that acknowledgement and the acknowledgement of their current service, continuing to tell the stories of their heroism and leadership, lifting a history that Canada has too often forgotten. In the 80s and the 90s, 2S LGBTQ+ veterans were purged from service because of an oppressive policy of heteronormalization. A terrible historical wrong was done to thousands of Canadians victimized solely because of their sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression. Persian Gulf veterans are still fighting for the government to have recognition, having served in a war, and to receive the benefits of those who came before them. I think of women veterans who fought for their country in equipment that didn't fit, suffered horrendous injuries to their bodies, to their reproductive systems, had to endure sexist attacks, huge impacts on mental health, verbal and physical attacks from their colleagues, commanders, and had no recourse to justice. And yet those women are still fighting. This time they are fighting their government for the rights and benefits. I am so honored to know them. They are fierce, and they will not stop. That is what bravery looks like. It's incredibly tragic to consider women veterans face dangers, not just from deployments, but from within the military because of archaic and sexist attitudes. They were made to feel invisible, and often were mistaken for the wives of military instead of being recognized for their service. To the women veterans of Canada, I see you, I hear you, New Democrats support you. You are no longer invisible. There are many veterans who need trauma-informed care and support. When they contact Veterans Affairs for help, they are forced to deal with an overly bureaucratic and complex system, are threatened to be removed from programs if deadlines are not met, and experience multiple denials of service attribution and endless delays in receiving benefits. Some years go by, and the veterans receive Nothing. My office has helped one such veteran who lived for 4 years without an income, even though he was entitled to receive one from this government. A member of Parliament should not have to intervene for a veteran to receive his earning capacity. The system of benefits at Veterans Affairs must be transformed to offer services through a lens of trauma-informed care. It is so important that the veterans of this country be recognized. Madam Speaker, in closing, I just want to say it is important to Canadians that veterans are acknowledged and that they're remembered. Let's normalize saying thank you, not just during Veterans Week and Remembrance Day, but each and every time we see a person who is currently serving or has served, because being thanked is the very least that we can do to acknowledge their service, lest we forget.